Yeah, so today I have with me Dr. Rebecca Oyerinde, and she'll be sharing life experiences, PhD experiences. She just graduated a PhD studies. And one thing that is very important to note is that there were ups and downs, and I believe we can learn one or two things. I am proud that she's a woman with PhDs. And that's why I'm interviewing. And I know that if you have aspirations, it may not even be for PhD, for other things, you have dreams, you have visions, you have plans. Know that it is possible, it is achievable. You just have to have the right attitude. And I hope and trust that today, as she shares her experiences with us, bringing family along, explaining and letting us understand how she did it, you can learn one or two lessons and you can go achieve that dream. Thank you. So we have with me Dr. Oyerinde, and
from South Africa.
Johannesburg, South Africa. And then she will be sharing her story today. Thank you, Dr. Oyerinde. Can we meet you, please?
Oh, thank you very much for having me. So, as properly introduced, my name is Rebecca Oyerinde, now a doctor. Sometimes it feels weird.
It feels weird, right?
Dr. Rebecca, I'm just like,
can I cut in like that?
Rebecca. But then, looking at the effort put into it, I think, I'm getting used to being called a doctor now. So and I'm glad to be here just to have this lovely chat. Just a friendly conversation where we just share life lesson and what I've learned in this journey so far. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much. And that reminds me, when you were saying it feels weird, I remember when my husband finished his PhD and they called him. He was like, so that's it, I'm not a doctor. So I understand that feeling of, it's weird. I'm just me,
Yeah.
But yes, it is what you did. It's your work, your handwork, your sweat. So yes, you're a doctor, and we are so happy. So glad for you. We are hoping there are a lot of women that are aspiring for things, great things like this. What inspires me about our life is not giving up. In the midst of having children, having family, and support from a husband is very key. We can't do this without our husbands, without a good spouse and all of those things. So please come along in our story, and I hope it blesses you. Thank you so much. To the clap. Okay, so one of the things that drew my attention to your story is I know how difficult it can be for mothers. Sometimes we have aspirations, and when we look around us, really in America, even in America, you'll see there are people do what works for them.
Yeah.
Parenting here is a bit harder because you don't have relatives around. Childcare services is costly, very costly.
I think it will be more expensive in US than here.
Okay.
It's quite expensive, but I don't think it's going to be as expensive as it will be at your end. It's not cutthroat here. Mm-hmm. So you can get your child to crèche as early as you want it to without
good.
Yeah, here. But I've learned that at your side it's quite
expensive.
It's a dip in the pocket.
Exactly. I appreciate the fact that you kept to it. Personally, for me, when the year was going to start, I had things that I have planned out.
Yeah.
But family comes in and then it starts. It's just like, God, is this the way my old dream for this year is going to just be?
It's going to be like
that. And then family plan, you have to shift here, shift there to accommodate things. That is where we as women end up. And what it tells me is that if you are not determined, you won't even get near some things. You won't do some things. Yeah. I have an exam that I should have taken since I plan taking it by the end of February. I've been preparing for it. Normal preparation, I should be able to write that exam because I started preparing last year, December. I should be able to write that exam by January if I wanted to. But I couldn't. I know that I had to plan because of the way things are. I will wake up I was waking up 4 a.m. in the morning to read up to like to 7 before I start taking care of my kids to get them ready for school. And then with that kind of commitment, you go to bed, you wake up 4 a.m. and all of those things. Now, this is March. Mid-March.
You've not written the exam.
I've not even applied for the exam. Is that bad? It's not bad. Yeah. So when I see women that are driven, because that is what we need in our world. Yes, I had to be driven to get my master's, so I know what it means. I know what my professors were literally telling me. One of them was like, "What are you doing here with pregnancy and all of that?" I'm just like, "What is he saying? What am I doing with pregnancy? I'm not sick. This is
it's not a sickness actually."
What kept you going in your program? What kept you? What was the factor, the drive for you?
Honestly speaking, and I say this with all sense of sincerity, my biggest drive was my husband. I can't lie to you. He is my biggest drive. So when I got married, which was a little bit over 14 years ago, I had only first degree. And before we got married, just told me, you are doing your master's, okay? The moment you got married. And you know, in life, sometimes you have things planned out, but considering my background generally, I didn't have anything planned out. I just like, God, I'm in your hand. I could not even plan due to a lot of things then. I could not plan. So I got married shortly after my first degree. And you know, the university we went at home, OAU, with all the delay and all that.
Yeah.
So all the strike, and he was already in South Africa then. So we could not be shifting. So the moment we got married, it's like, you're going to do your master's. And I'm like, wow, God is wonderful. I would have loved, on personal level, I would have loved to do master's, but considering where I was coming from and the financial implication, I was not going to do it. Okay? But he was like, so that was the first thing he knocked into my head. You're doing your master's. So the moment I joined him in South Africa, I started my master's. And like you were saying, I got pregnant with my first child doing master's. So doing master's and then being pregnant. I remember when he was born, I took a 6-month leave because we were in a country where there was nobody, like literally nobody. So, and luckily then, I think he was doing his PhD, he was finishing his PhD. So we were doing rotation. So I'll go to school in the morning. I think around that time he has submitted his thesis, waiting for the examination result. So I'll go to school in the morning, and then I'll return like midday, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, because he had to be in school from like 2 o'clock for the undergraduate assignment, you know, doing their laboratory session for them. So I'll go in the morning, return around 1, like a shift, you know, like a rotational kind of thing. So I will take over to take care of the baby. So I will take over the care of the baby while he will go to campus. So we're doing that. Mind you, when I had that child, I took 6-month break because I just needed to like focus. So when I went back after 6 months, we're doing that rotational thing. So he's always been that biggest factor of him driving me. And so the moment I finished master's, it was like, you're doing PhD. I'm like, interesting. So we shifted city, we left the province where we were, and because he got a job in another province, we moved to the province where we are currently. And then the same university, we are both in the same university, he lectures, I just enrolled for the PhD. And the journey for the PhD it was one of the toughest things I've ever done. My PhD took 7 years. Yeah. Because a lot of things happen within the space of the 1 year. Like, life happens, and my third pregnancy happened during the PhD. The girl is 5.5 now, and I remember I worked till they were telling me, please don't come to the lab anymore. But you know how pregnancy just gives you some sort of energy sometimes. You're like, I'm not sick, like you said earlier on. I'm not sick. I've got energy. So I conceived her during PhD, and with my stomach doing serious laboratory work and all that. And at one point, I wanted to give up. To be honest with you, I wanted to give up, but I'll look at my husband. I'm like, this man has invested so much in me. I couldn't disappoint him because I knew what he has put into it. Like it was as if he took it personal. He took it personal, so it really kept me going. Sometimes when I'm stuck, sometimes when I was talking, like, what is the issue? We are in different fields. He's in engineering, I'm in biology, but he will learn my terms and what I was doing, and in his own little understanding of what I was doing, get material for me or try to find solution, even though sometimes of the solution I can't make use of them. But seeing how dedicated he was to my cause, I just couldn't stop.
Help you.
I just couldn't stop. In fact, let me tell you something. There were times I would go to the lab, and you were tired to the teeth. And I'll get to the lab, I'll put my head on the table. But then I'll remember, somebody will ask me, so how was lab today? What did you do? I'll be like, and I can't lie.
Like your daddy.
Like my dad. And I cannot lie. Children of God cannot lie. So just the thought of when I get home, my husband will ask me, how was the lab today? How was your supervisor? What were you able to do? How will I tell him I didn't do anything, that I came to the lab to sleep? So I'll just drag myself, go to the lab, such that when I'm giving feedback at home, I can say with confidence. So he was my biggest motivation. And when the going got tough, I told myself that if for anything, I want to get a certificate for my husband. I know I'm getting it for myself. But I tell that I want to make my husband proud. Like, this man has tried for my sake. He has tried. And if I was ready to disappoint myself, like I was ready to disappoint myself and not continue, I'm like, I couldn't disappoint this man. I could not. The belief he has in me was just so much that I had to pull through. So he was the biggest role, the biggest motivation. I mean, it got to a point that I was sleeping back to back in the lab. Like, I was sleeping in the lab like 3 times, 4 times in a week. And before I got home, we will have done everything I was supposed to do. Like cook, take care of the children, do everything and all that. So, I mean, how do you disappoint such a person?
I know, right? Thank God for such a man. It's great. Having a very supportive husband or spouse, generally, it applies to both men and women, is very important.
It is very, very important.
Because when someone that is that close to you doesn't share your vision, you can hardly...
Exactly. So there was a time, have you ever been in a position where you literally drained, like you tired, you are not doing anything, and you needed someone to push you, or you needed somebody to talk sense into you? You know what they will say, you know what you need to do, but you just needed somebody, an external person. And you don't want a pat in the back, you want somebody to scold you. And we go to the same campus, right? I got the lecture of my life. We started from home. We got in the car. He was still talking sense into me. You needed somebody to just pick you out of the valley you are in, the valley of I can't do it. I'm tired.
I mean, that's why we are
people that started before me, they were finishing. I was stuck. So I just couldn't get myself out of. So I'm like, one day I just wish this man would just talk some sense into me. And the day he did, from home till he dropped me off in my department. Everybody I talk to, I say it with pride and joy that the biggest brain behind my success is my husband. Like, the biggest brain, like it was him. It was him. The biggest motivation was him.
That's good. Yeah. That's good. And I quite understand what you meant by how it can be tough sometimes, because I know your husband had those times when he was doing his PhD too.
Yeah.
My husband did his PhD. For him, he started working on research and he was producing papers, and then he had to even change course. He had to, because of some things that happened, he had to entirely. So sometimes it's like, they reach to a point where, because it's research, it's looking for what has not been found, right?
Looking for what was not lost.
And but it's very important that we have people around us. That's why support system is very great. And for you, especially since you don't have much people around you, your husband stood and it was really there for you.
Apart from my husband, the church people were really, really supportive. I mean, My national overseer, I'm not talking of region, national overseer would just send me message randomly. And it would be like, at a point, my matter was becoming a national project, like prayer point. Because people were like, she's been on this thing for so long. So imagine how busy national overseers can get. And he would just send you message randomly and say, how is your research going?
Wow.
I mean, those support system. I remember when we had the get together for my graduation, I'm like, this is not a graduation celebration for me. It's a celebration of people. Like, you look all around and you see people that you are not biologically related, but the way they are interested in your progress. So apart from my husband, I have people that I'm blessed with people. I've got friends too. I'm not saying this because we are recording for social media. No, I have one of my friends there in the lab. You know, when things were not happening, she was just like, Becca, what can we do? Okay, you need to have your thesis edited. Let's go for a lunch date. Imagine somebody taking you to a restaurant where you can sit for hours and they serve you drink as much coffee as you can. I don't drink coffee. She made me drink coffee. I hope she will see this video. She will know that I'm talking about her. We were going through my thesis page by page. She does that for business, but she did it for me for free. Wow. And my kids will pray every morning, Lord, let mommy finish her PhD.
Amen. That's cool. Very, very
cool. Yeah, we cannot overemphasize the place of a support system. Like, the support system is huge. PhD can actually make you lose yourself. It can make you doubt yourself. It can make you feel like you are less than human being. It can make you doubt your capability. That no, you can't do this. You know, it's not for people like you. When you hit the rock bottom, no. But when you have the right people that are saying, it's you now. There's nothing you cannot do now. This is just a little speed bump. You're going to scale. One of the biggest tasks in this life is to start. One of the biggest challenges that women face is the fear of starting. We are waiting for everything to be all right before we start. Then first year we go. Second year we'll go. You've not started. Third year will go. But what I just realized that the moment you start, no matter what, even if it is just a drop a day, the day you will finish is reducing with each passing day. Imagine my first pregnancy, I was doing a master's. Third pregnancy, I was doing PhD. So should I wait until I finish studying before I start child bearing, or should I finish? Or should I finish having childbearing before I start PhD? So the best thing for anybody, whoever wants to do this, just start.
Like you said, I remember one of the greatest factors, one of the things that helps me, or that has helped me up to this point, since we moved, especially since we relocated, is having friends that are, you know, they stick to it. They are friends that they work. They don't lay back or sit back. When I look at such friends, I don't, some of them would even tell me, this is what I want to do. Hey. Yeah, I'll be like, this. When you have, that is one place, because motivation can come from different places.
Yeah.
There's a particular friend that when I look at her, when you were saying something about you just start, if you're starting today, a drop, even if it's a drop, if it's a day, I remember most of us, we came in as F2, dependent of our husbands first.
Yes.
Before we changed our status to F1 so that we can fully study. So I remember one of my friends that started this. As F2, you can actually go to school, but you'll be paying money. And then I remember she told me she was going to start with that F2 status. She started MBA. That alone spoke to me like, okay,
yeah,
not necessarily, because for me, I've been waiting to change. I applied
status,
status, and then I had my baby. The second baby was on the way again. I got weak and tired. I canceled that. And then that's where it starts from, because you start looking for the perfect time and all of that, but it will never come. That's why many dreams are in the grave today.
Aborted. Yeah. In fact, speaking of that, I remember when I finished my master's and my husband was like, you're going to do your PhD. Now, I'm talking about my husband. It's not like I don't have a mind of my own. But, where I was still busy kind of contemplating, should I not? He just put a stamp on it. You are. And it's like, and you think getting a job, you think workplace is easy. You think it will be easier to go and work. And the moment you start working, maybe now you are not doing much. You are only having children, which is a lot of work already.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of work.
That. It's
so maybe you now say, when the children are older, I will start what I want to start. Now you get a job. Is it when we get a job with family, you will now start?
You may never.
So the point is, there is not going to be that perfect window where the kids are grown, I don't have a job pending, now I'm 300% free, now I can start. No. That time won't be, that window won't open. That window is not going to open. So yeah, it is like that.
I just hope someone learns from this and understand that if you have dreams, for me, I'm not putting down those women that choose to be stay-home moms. It is totally their choice. It is totally what they think is best for their family. There are a lot of there are a lot of insecurities, things around that even as parents, you just have to put your head in the right space sometimes. I'm like, God, I just commit my kids into your hands, because I don't even want to think about the things going on in social media, things happening in daycare centers and everything. I just trust you, because the truth is, I don't see, we can't be with our kids like
24/7.
It's not possible. So for those who believe that is the best thing for their children, for their family, it's fine. But I'm saying, if you have dreams, because there are some women, honestly, for me, that is who I am. I have dreams, I have vision. I'm not somebody that can sit down. It's not work, it is work to have kids to take care of, especially in this environment.
It's a lot of work.
In South Africa, in the United States here, it's a lot of work already, honestly.
Yeah.
If all you do is take care of those kids at home, it's already enough job.
It's a lot of work.
Some of us, we have this, there's just this insatiable desire.
I must.
Exactly.
A lot of things going on that you just can't stay still. Speaking of not sitting still, after I finished PhD, in fact, at one point I'm like, school, never. I'm not going back. Don't even in another lifetime. Don't do it. But while I'm waiting for opportunities to happen, things like that, I was doing online courses.
Of course, you never stop learning.
I've already done 3. I've completed 3 this year already. This is March. I've completed 3. And somebody was like, "Did you say no more books?" I just like, oh well,
that was said in the times.
In the times when you're like, it's just like, children, women giving birth. After one child, you get to be like, never, I'm not going to have a child anymore.
Yeah, and then you have
the second. I have the so like you said. And honestly speaking, being a full-time mom is a lot of responsibility on its own. But at the same time, in fact, with all this degree, you can still be a full-time mom. Sure. But you've already gained a skill, because life is unpredictable. And should life happen where being a full-time mom is not going to put food on the table, is not going to sustain, you have a certificate to go and dust up, or you have a skill that you've invested in, that you can dust and then fall back upon. So there are people that have PhD holder. In fact, not even, I know of somebody, I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm at home, I'm taking care of my twins, and she has a PhD. She has a PhD, but she's at home taking care of her children. So being at home, being a stay-home mom is a commendable. In fact, if we all have something that will secure the next few decades, we should all be at home. Maybe you should be running businesses from home and be taking care of these kids. But even for those stay-at-home mom, you can always upgrade your skill. Sure. In these days of you have cell phone, you have tablet, instead of just watching Facebook and checking WhatsApp, there are even some
online courses sometimes, things you can easily.
No, the 3 courses that I did, I applied for financial aid and the financial aid were granted. So I actually learned them for free. I could have paid for them, but since they gave the option of financial aid, I'm like, well, what will I lose if I apply and they say no? At least I will have tried. Coincidentally, I got the financial aid for all 3. So, but my point is that even those stay-at-home mom, they should not be like, since I'm a stay-at-home mom, what's the use of having this certificate? Or what's the use of having this skill? Or what's the use of knowing this? And they should still have those skills. It will come in handy One way or the other. In fact, it can even improve your parenting style.
Sure.
It can even improve your parenting style, because now you are not just this woman that is just locked up. You are well informed. You know where the world is going. You have this skill. It can even impact your parenting style. It can impact the value. Yeah, it can impact the value you are transferring to those children. So being a stay-home mom is not even an excuse for not trying or for not wanting to do one or two things.
And just to be fair on that point, she's not necessarily saying you have to do a PhD or do a master's.
No,
just do something. It could be a skill. I totally learned how to sew men's outfits online. I had the skill to sew women's dressing.
Yeah.
Of course, you keep adding and all of that. But for men, this is actually where I online just educate myself and all of that. So it's a very important point.
I think it gives some level of satisfaction. It gives some level of satisfaction.
Were you at any point working, like maybe during your master's, your PhD? Were you working aside schooling and having?
Yes, I had opportunity to actually take on full-fledged lecturing work in some semesters. For example, when my supervisor was on a sabbatical, the course he was supposed to teach that year, I was responsible for that course. I had to take it over. At another time, one lecturer retired, and before they could hire a replacement, I had to take the responsibility for the whole block. I have to take the responsibility of that lecturer's work. At another time, another lecturer she got money to focus on research, and they were looking for somebody to take up her work. So this is a full-time lecturing where you conduct lectures, you conduct practicals, you conduct marking, you prepare lesson notes, you do all of that.
So how did you cope with the home front? Because I know that already you have time, like all of these things are scrambling for your time for 24 hours in a day that you have. How were you able to cope in the home front? Like, how was it?
I was taking it one day at a time.
One day at a time. Don't think about
it. How I coped, I can't explain. Especially the very first opportunity that came knocking when the lecturer needed to spend some time on her research, and she got this funding to pay somebody that would do her work for her. In that time when she wouldn't be around, I had a 4-month-old baby. So this was me with baby in one hand, and 4-month-old baby. Yeah, this was January, and I had her in August. So we are talking of 5-month-old baby. Wow. My mom was around that time, who was sick. Wow. So basically, I had a sick mom. I had a 5-month-old baby, and I had this responsibility to teach, which I was told 2 weeks before time. So I had to teach myself. So all of that time, I just knew that I survived. I survived.
Just to
the one of the gifts I had is the gift of working well in the night. So I can stretch myself to 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the night without much of it. And so, but the thing is that most times when everybody has gone to bed, no matter what I was able to do during the day, no matter all the challenge of the day, even if I was dead tired, when night strikes, I get a new energy. Either is the responsibility that is giving me the energy, or wherever it was. Because how can you have an 8 o'clock lecture and
up by 2 a.m.
the night before you are not confident of what you are going to teach? You need to stay up. And personally, I like giving my best.
Do you at any point have to plan and say, okay, this is, was there any time that it looks like some things were spilling over? I just want it to be as real as possible.
Yes,
because the truth is, sometimes we think we have it, but there are sometimes it just looks like, I'm losing it. I don't know what is happening. How I can. Did you have any of such moments where it looks
honestly speaking, I do tell people that, let's be real. If you are a family woman and you are studying, something along the way will be affected. So for me, I know that my academics got affected because there are instances I can't put all my attention on the academics, if that is all I focus my attention on, like for a pregnant woman now, no matter what, if you have been studying for 4 hours, maybe it will reduce to 2. So if you have those responsibilities, let's not call ourselves we are this superhuman being. Something is got to give. So for example, those times where I was lecturing and I had baby, I couldn't focus on my PhD at all. I'll just look at them, I'm like, not today. Even on days when I was not teaching, mentally, I was not ready.
Wow.
I just couldn't switch. My PhD twice as long. Number one, COVID contributed to it. The whole of 2020, like from January 2020 to December 2020, we couldn't even look at my thesis. I was done writing that time because suddenly my supervisor is a big part of the administrative system of the university. 2021, we now started pushing, so a lot of things happened that it took twice as long. I'm not even talking about the difficulty of the research itself. My research itself was so difficult, like that one, and my research was such that is in phases. If you don't finish this phase and get results from it, you can't go to the next phase. So you have to optimize the first phase before you go to the next one. So those are so many factors. At one point when my mom was with me, she was so sick. I remember November, December 2016, I had to deregister because I wasn't coping. Like my mom was very sick. She was in the hospital for 3 weeks. So I just like, you know what? I just have to deregister from the university. I'm like, so having to deal with a sick mom, having a baby in between, having lecturing responsibility, and the challenge of the research itself. I got to know one of my examiners, and she's like, I read your thesis. Other people will have given up on that project long ago. It's like you milk that thesis dry. Like I said, 2020 was like my worst year. I woke up in the middle of the night one day and I was crying. And I was like, this is why some PhD people even go as far as committing suicide. Because they become so overwhelmed. And that is why, personally, as much as one wants to focus on academics, have something else that gives you joy, that gives you happiness. Life is not all about PhD, all about this certificate. I was like, what if I don't have a supportive family? What if I don't have other things that give my life a meaning? What if my whole world revolves around this degree? Because that time was my lowest. I woke up in the middle of the night one day and I was crying. Like, then I knew that all these psychological issues, they are real. Like, this thing can make
issues, emotional,
they are real. Like, I was just so down, and then I'll look at my children, I'll be like, thank God I have my children, thank God I have my husband, because this PhD is not working. If it were left, but again, I couldn't give up, because a voice would be telling me that, if you didn't give up, by now maybe you will have finished. That you would have. This could have happened, that could have happened. I think that will have been the worst experience for me if I had given up. Not knowing how close I was to the finish line will always be a point of regret for me.
You have kids that are coming up. You're role models to them already. Like,
exactly.
They know that, yes, mommy, it was tough. Your child may not even talk to you. Just remembering it. Because for me, one of the factors that drive me is my mom. My mom was a real virtuous, she's a rock. Like, wow, Christ is our solid rock. But
I understand.
That's why sitting down at home is not okay by me. Like, I'm like, how can I can't. It's like, I don't think about it, I don't dwell on it. Except when I'm on my low, of course. When I'm like, I should just spoken about this. Maybe it's not possible. But when I look at her, just looking at how she was when we were growing up, how tough and how she's a strong woman. So that alone can give your children inspiration that no, I can't give
exactly.
I have to keep pushing.
Exactly.
Until this I get to a reasonable.
Yes.
So yes, I really appreciate that about you. It's something great. It's something that helps women see that yes, all you just need to do is get started. And I appreciate this chat, because it makes people see, or women see, what it is it is what it is. It's not going to be easy.
So,
and that brings me to our next question. How supportive was because this, I believe men likewise will be seeing this kind of video, and some people even ask the question, how can I be supportive? And you know the funny thing, what I've realized is that most men, I think by their psychological makeup, they don't even know when you need something. Their own is they want to ask. They don't know how to offer. Like we do, you said yourself now that you ask your husband, do you need a cup of tea? He's reading in the night. Oh, can I get you something? Yeah, I do that a lot too. Like you want him to be in his best state for the best, to optimize his time and all of those things. But men are not like that. So how did you, like, what for people men that will be seeing this and will be thinking, how can I help my wife that has this kind of ambition? How do you think they can manage that situation? How do you think men can be supportive to their wives?
Okay. Like I said, I received one of the best support ever for me. So again, I'm going to use that as an example. For example, now I'm at home and I'm thinking, there's nothing at home, there's no food at home, I don't even know what to cook. Or maybe I'm thinking, I'm going to make turkey tomorrow, and then I take it out of the freezer. I'm giving you an example. I'm telling you real things that happen. Okay. Then I'll go. Maybe I took it out of the freezer in the morning, then I'll go. By the time I return in the morning, the thing has been cleaned out.
Wow.
Cleaned out, washed, put in the pot, and then you just tell me, go and season that thing the way you want. I don't know the seasoning that you use. Wow. Go and season it. I just boiled it. I've cut it for you. Cut onions, do things like that. You know? Or sometimes I'm home dead tired, and this man could see that my wife is tired. She's gone since morning. Before she could even say so, you can just say, I prepared dinner. The children have eaten. The left, the remaining is.
We give that woman peace.
It happens to me a lot of time. I'll be like, the kids have eaten, and your own is there in the cooler. Go and check and things like that. You know, because the man knows that he opens the fridge. There's nothing that we can eat. You know. Just put, even if it is not tasty, the fact that you cook something. We are not saying every day. We are not saying every day. Yeah. But once in a while. And that is why when you see that happen, you even go the extra mile to make sure that there's always food at home. Because one act of kindness shown to a woman, that woman won't forget. And sometimes personally, when I'm so tired, I actually beg for help. I'll be like, please come and help me in the kitchen. And you'll be like, what? Sometimes I ask, sometimes I don't ask. You'll be like, what can I help you with? And I can be like, please help me blend this, help me blend that. We still do that even till now. It's just that I've got, at least my oldest child is 12, so he helps a lot around the kitchen.
Great.
He helps around a lot in the kitchen, like a lot. That is when the father starts, that boy should be there. But during those times, I'll go, and by the time I returned, whatever I wanted to cook, whichever stage he can push it up until before I take over. Like, this and this has been done. I've cut that. I've cut this for you. Or we want to make egg. Oh, will you take care of the egg sauce while I take care of the yam? Yeah. You know, and that woman won't forget. That woman won't forget. It's not always about, I've put money in your account. No. There are instances that maybe I'll return. Like I said, I was sleeping in the lab a lot towards the end. So I'll go to bed around 6, 7. And around 10, I'll be waking up with breakfast. Like, wake up, come and eat. You know, those is not, like I said, it's not every time. But when you have a spouse and you know that this woman is working her fingers to bone, and it's not right that you cannot even take care of yourself, you are still waiting for her to serve, because you know that this thing is just for a phase. It's not like that's what she's going to be doing forever. It's just for the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years. Yeah. And when she achieves this goal, you achieve it together. He was the proudest person. Like, my wife did this, you know.
With his smiles,
It's hard to the man's achievement. If that woman was thinking of giving up, she won't.
Exactly.
She won't. Exactly. She won't. But sometimes I will return, even if I don't sleep in the lab, even if I didn't sleep in the lab, I'll be coming home around 10, around 11 p.m. My kids have gone to bed already. You know, that means he had taken care of them, he had fed them, and my own food is waiting, you know, and you just be like, no, the kid have sent them to bed.
It's working.
You see, and he was
Goes out
working.
in
He
the
is
morning,
working.
comes back.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
So she's going to tell us how she's able to balance between church, family, work, and PhD.
I don't know. I love family. Like, I just love the family. In the midst of all this, see, making time, especially for child training and all of that, it doesn't have to be a big moment. It's those little moments that add up. Those little moments that add up. Anytime I'm cooking in the kitchen, in at least 8 out of 10 times, my oldest son is always with me. And in the process of that cooking, we are talking. There are instances that I'll go to his room, he's not sleeping, and talking with him. I believe that, we are sometimes, some of us, the way we grew up is when you make mistake, you get corrected. It's when you make mistake, you get the life lessons, you get the talk of your life. But the reverse is supposed to be the case, where you begin to, and of course, the place of Bible, devotional, all that one is standard. But when it comes to one-on-one, personally, I don't think you need a big time. I don't have time to do this, I don't have time to do that. No. It may just be where you are relaxed with your phone in hand. You engage your kids in conversation. You know where you are going. And it doesn't have to be something obvious that, today is today, we are having no. It's those little moments. You begin to take advantage of every little. After all, you have time to cook. That cook time can be the time where you are teaching your kids. It can be the time you remember one story. It can be the time, in fact, most of my childhood story, we tell it in the kitchen. That, growing up, you should do this, or we didn't have that, most usually in the kitchen. Dad may be in the sitting room doing his work, and the kids will always be with me in the kitchen. So it can even be that time. It may be the time you are bathing the youngest of them, and then you start having that conversation with them. When it comes to teaching our kids and training them, we have to be intentional and take advantage of all these little time. That's where the balance comes in. It's not 24/7 sleeping thoughts, waking thoughts, PhD, paper. This is no. The little downtime. The time you are all together at the dining table can be the time you just you take advantage of little drops of water. Little drops of water make a mighty ocean. I take advantage of all these little openings, and then give them life lesson. Let them talk. Let them share with you, and that has been my way of operating.
That's good. Good advice on child training.
Play games with them. Get games. Play games with them. Sing for them. Act silly sometimes. Let your hair down. Let them know that mom and dad are human. They were once children. And sometimes when they make mistake, you can keep quiet about it, because if you speak at that instant, you may say something wrong. And then much later you bring it up. The other time I saw a story of a child, BBC story of a child that got kidnapped through online interaction, game, what. And I just made the children read it. I'm like, do you see? Okay. So when mom and dad tell you don't do this and this, it's not because we don't want you to. We want you to be safe. So use everything and anything to teach them, to bring them closer to you, to teach them life lessons, to warn them of the cruelty of the world out there, and let them know that you can play.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing, Dr. Rebecca. Yeah, what was your research on?
Okay. Broadly, I'm a botanist.
Good.
All right. Then subgroup, I'm in plant physiology. Wow. And by the time I was doing my PhD, it covers cell biology, it covers plant physiology and plant propagation, using avocado as the test plant.
You thinking of working? Or...
Yeah. I'm thinking of working.
Is it lecturing? Because I know that you have some good skills in lecturing by now.
I love teaching. I love teaching actually.
Your options are open.
Exactly, my options are open. I'm not just focused on that anymore. I'm trying to broaden my view.
And it's been really great chatting with you today. Thank you so much for all what you have shared with us. For your experience, for going personal and telling us all of those things. So to wrap it up, what do you want to, what is your parting words?
All right. First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's not like we know each other prior to now. We only started communicating in the past few weeks, and the way we connected is like we've known each other for so long. I think that's the beauty. That's the beauty of having Jesus in our lives. And anybody listening, if you still don't have Jesus, that is very, very important. It makes all the difference. And one of the things I would like to share, anybody pursuing anything, it doesn't have to be PhD. Don't leave all and pursue that. Don't leave all and pursue that. Don't abandon family in pursuit of your dream alone. What if what you've left everything for, to pursue, what if something happens? It's going to cause a lot of psychological problem. Don't neglect your family. Don't neglect your spouse. Don't neglect the time you want to do other things. Don't neglect the time you want to do other things. And secondly, anybody that wants to do something, the time to start is now. For us women, there will never be a convenient time. The time is now. Start now. Start now. In fact, start thinking about it. The very first place to start is have it achieved mentally, and then just go for it. One of the things I realized that sometimes we don't know the strength we have and our ability until we take up something. Then you now begin to imagine how strong you are, how capable you are in doing that. So please start now, whatever it is that you want to do. And lastly, a good support system, a very good support system. Have a friend, have a family, have somebody that you can be vulnerable in their presence. You can cry. You don't have to form this strong woman all the time. You are allowed to be vulnerable. You are allowed to break down. You are allowed to throw in the towel. You are allowed to just have that support system. People that will understand you when that moment comes. So I think it's very, very important. And ultimately, we shouldn't leave God out of it.
We are so blessed to have you today with us. Thank you so much for all those nuggets you have shared, for all those experiences you shared with us. I believe that this will help someone in their pursuits. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Next time we'll see you on Sound channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the subscribe button. And please share this video. Thank you so much.
Please subscribe, like, and share the content.
Thank you so much. And please, you can check my sister out too. She has a channel. Her channel is Rebecca Oyerinde. She posts content on kitchen content, how to cook, make the home, and all of those things. Yes, I've watched some of her contents and they are really nice. You can learn new skills, new things, skills in the kitchen from her. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. Bye.